Haruto always believed that his life was simple, predictable, and safe, until the day Kaito ate his lunch. That morning, the sun spilled golden light across the quiet streets as Haruto walked to school, his backpack snug against his shoulders and a neatly packed lunchbox swinging at his side. He had spent extra time preparing it, layering rice, carefully cut vegetables, and a small portion of his favorite grilled fish. Every bite was a reminder that he cared for himself, even in a world that sometimes seemed overwhelming. School was bustling with students, laughter echoing through the hallways, and Haruto kept to his usual path. Quiet steps, careful greetings, and an ever-watchful eye. That's when he first saw Kaito. The boy was leaning against the lockers, hair perfectly tousled, clothes immaculate, and a smirk that made Haruto feel a strange mix of annoyance and curiosity. Kaito was famous, no infamous, for being the spoiled son of the school's wealthiest CEO. Everyone whispered about him, but few dared to approach. And yet, somehow Haruto felt his eyes drawn to him, like a magnet pulling against all logic. By lunchtime the cafeteria buzzed with chatter. Haruto sat at his usual spot under the window, unpacking his carefully prepared lunch. The smell of the fish wafted in the air, making his stomach rumble with anticipation. He opened the lid, only to find it empty. His heart skipped a beat, confusion twisting into irritation. Did someone forget to bring their lunch today? A voice drawled behind him. Haruto turned to see Kaito standing there, grinning as if he had won some invisible game. His eyes sparkled with mischief, and before Haruto could even ask, Kaito added casually, "This smells amazing. Mind if I?" Before Haruto could react, Kaito took a large bite from the lunchbox. What are you doing?" Haruto shouted, flustered, cheeks burning red. Students nearby giggled, but Kaito paid no mind. He chewed, smirk widening, and then just as casually he said, "Delicious. Thanks, Daddy." "Daddy?" Haruto sputtered, the word bouncing off his ears like a shockwave. He blinked at the boy in disbelief. Who even called someone daddy during lunch? And why did it feel like Kaito wasn't joking at all? Kaito leaned closer, eyes gleaming, and Haruto felt an unfamiliar flutter in his chest. This boy, annoying, spoiled, impossibly bold, had just crossed the line. And yet, for some strange reason, Haruto couldn't help but wonder what it would be like if Kaito kept saying that. As the bell rang, signaling the end of lunch, Haruto grabbed the remnants of his ruined meal, his mind spinning. Kaito had eaten not just his food, but a part of his carefully controlled day. Haruto didn't know it yet, but this was only the beginning. Something about Kaito, the teasing smile, the mysterious confidence, would follow Haruto for a long time, challenging his quiet life in ways he never imagined. Little did he know lunchboxes could change more than hunger. They could spark hearts, ignite rivalries, and start a story that would twist their lives forever. Haruto couldn't shake the memory of Kaito's words. "Daddy." The way it had floated through the cafeteria had felt like a spark, annoying, confusing, and strangely thrilling all at once. Haruto spent the rest of the afternoon in a daze, pretending to pay attention in class while his mind replayed the moment over and over. He hated feeling this way. He hated it because it was unfamiliar. After school, he walked along the quiet sidewalk, the breeze lifting stray strands of hair from his face. That's when he noticed someone following him, not in a scary way but in a way that made him tense. Rin was tall, confident, and had an air of calm authority that made other students give him space without even realizing it. He was an alpha, everyone knew that, but unlike Kaito, he didn't crave attention or throw tantrums when he didn't get his way. Ren's gaze was steady, evaluating, almost like he could see right through Haruto. "Hey Omega," Rin said casually, falling into step beside him. "You've been acting distracted lately. Is someone bothering you?" Haruto's cheeks warmed. I'm fine," he muttered, quickening his pace. But Rin matched him effortlessly, the alpha's presence overwhelming yet oddly comforting. Rin tilted his head, a faint smile tugging at his lips. "Really? Because you look like you've been thinking about something all day." Haruto opened his mouth then closed it. How could he explain that a spoiled, impossible alpha had eaten his lunch and called him that? He didn't even understand it himself. And yet, here he was, feeling something he didn't have a name for, a mix of frustration and curiosity. Meanwhile, Kaito lounged in the student council room, tossing his phone up and down like he didn't have a care in the world. He wasn't used to feeling left out. Haruto had avoided him all afternoon, giving him the cold shoulder for the first time. Kaito didn't know if he was more annoyed or intrigued. He tasted the Omega's lunch, teased him, and called him daddy, yet the reaction had been priceless. Haruto's flush, the way he stammered, it was addictive. Ren, sensing Kaito's presence lingering nearby, frowned. He didn't like how this spoiled alpha seemed to take up so much space, both physically and emotionally. And he didn't like that Haruto, gentle, kind Haruto, was already falling into that confusing orbit. As the sun dipped below the rooftops, the three of them, Haruto, Kaito, and Ren, moved through the school in a delicate dance of proximity and distance. Kaito smirked from afar, plotting his next move. Ren observed quietly, protective and calculating. And Haruto wondered if his heart could survive this new chaotic world. Something told him it would be impossible to go back to normal. Between Kaito's teasing and Ren's silent presence, his life had started to twist in ways he hadn't anticipated. Lunchboxes weren't just for food, they were the start of something much bigger. Something dangerous. Something exciting. And Haruto, despite himself, couldn't wait to see what came next. Haruto had started to feel a fragile sense of balance in his life. School wasn't always easy, but he had his routines, his quiet corner under the window, and the small joys of preparing his lunch. But that balance shattered the moment he realized he had been manipulated. It started with a whisper, a casual conversation he overheard between Kaito and Ren near the rooftop after classes. Haruto had gone up for some fresh air, hoping to clear his mind, but what he heard made him freeze. "So, are you sure he's buying it? That he actually cares?" Kaito asked, leaning against the railing, grin still in place. Ren's voice was low, almost hesitant. "He's naive. Easy to manipulate if we're careful. But maybe it's not fair. He doesn't deserve." "That's the point," Kaito interrupted, eyes glinting. "We need him to trust us, and then we can see how far it goes." Haruto's heart pounded in his chest. His hands shook as the world tilted. They weren't genuine. Every smile, every teasing word, every moment of closeness, it had been a setup. He felt dizzy, betrayed, and small all at once. Ren noticed movement out of the corner of his eye. "Haruto." But it was too late. Haruto had already turned, eyes blazing, his voice trembling. How could you?" Kaito's grin faltered, just slightly, but not enough to hide the amusement in his eyes. "Oh, you heard that, huh? I trusted you." Haruto's voice broke, echoing across the empty rooftop. The usual calm, collected Omega was gone, replaced by someone hurt, confused, and angry. Every word, every little thing, was a lie? Rin stepped forward, guilt written across his face. "Haruto, I didn't mean for it to go this far. I thought it would just test the waters." "Test the waters?" Haruto shouted, stepping back. "You don't get to play with people's hearts like that. You don't get to call me daddy or eat my lunch and then tell me it was all some stupid plan." Kaito's smirk returned, but it was more guarded now. "Hey, I said I was sorry. Isn't that enough?" Haruto shook his head, chest tight, tears threatening to spill. "No, it's not enough. You've ruined everything." Ren lowered his gaze. He had underestimated Haruto's strength. I'll make it right. Somehow. I promise." Kaito, meanwhile, felt a strange tug in his chest. He had teased Haruto, pushed him, even manipulated him, but seeing him like this, so raw, so hurt, stirred something unfamiliar in his heart. Haruto turned away, shoulders shaking, and ran down the rooftop stairs, leaving both alphas staring after him. For the first time, Kaito and Rin realized that teasing in Omega, even one as gentle as Haruto, had consequences. And that consequences often came in the form of a broken heart. The betrayal had been delivered, but it wasn't the end. It was only the beginning of something more complicated, something that would force trust, forgiveness, and even love to grow in the hardest, most unexpected ways. Haruto didn't know how to feel anymore. The betrayal from Kaito and Ren had cut deep, leaving a hollow ache in his chest. 4 days he avoided them, retreated into his own little world, and focused on things he could control. His schoolwork, his lunchbox, even the quiet walks home that gave him a sense of peace. Kaito, on the other hand, was unaccustomed to being ignored. His usual charm and teasing had never failed him before, but this time Haruto wouldn't answer, wouldn't laugh, wouldn't even look at him. Every glance that missed Haruto felt like a punch to his pride. For the first time, Kaito realized he might have gone too far. Rin, quieter and more thoughtful, stayed on the sidelines. He watched Haruto from a distance, giving him space but never leaving him completely. He felt guilt more strongly than Kaito did, and he couldn't shake the feeling that the gentle Omega didn't deserve this pain. One afternoon, Haruto sat on a bench in the school courtyard, the sun warming his back. He opened his lunchbox, but this time he didn't feel the usual excitement. The meal he had prepared with care now seemed meaningless. That's when Rin appeared, carrying his own lunch. Can I sit? Rin asked softly, eyes kind and cautious. Haruto hesitated but nodded. Rin sat down without a word, opening his lunch and eating quietly beside him. For a while they didn't speak. Haruto watched the other students laughing and joking around him, feeling the familiar pang of loneliness. Then Rin spoke gently, carefully. I'm sorry, he said simply. I should have never involved you in our stupid plan. You didn't deserve that, Haruto. Haruto stiffened. It hurt, he admitted, voice barely above a whisper. I don't understand why you did it. Or why Kaito, why he stopped, struggling to find words for emotions that were too big for him. Rin nodded. I know, and I'm sorry. I don't expect you to forgive me immediately, but I want to make it right, even if it takes time. Haruto felt a strange warmth at Ren's words. They weren't playful, they weren't teasing. They were honest, and for the first time in days he felt a little of the tension in his chest ease. Later that afternoon, Kaito appeared. He leaned casually against the railing, pretending he wasn't nervous, though Haruto could see the worry in his eyes. Hey, Kaito said softly. I messed up. I don't know how to fix it yet, but I'm trying. Haruto looked at him, at the boy who had stolen his lunch, teased him, and called him Daddy, with that infuriating grin. He wanted to be angry, he really did. But he also wanted to believe that maybe the alphas were sincere this time. And so, slowly, carefully, Haruto began to heal. Not all at once, not fully, but enough to see that trust could be rebuilt. And as he looked at Kaito and Ren standing there, awkward, uncertain, and undeniably alpha, he felt the first hint of curiosity about what could come next. Because healing wasn't just about forgiving. It was about discovering who could truly stand by your side. Haruto never thought a lunchbox could hold so much power. After the betrayal and the slow, awkward healing that followed, he found himself thinking about Kaito and Ren in ways he hadn't expected. Every glance, every word, every small gesture made his chest flutter. And for someone who had spent most of his life quietly observing, this was both terrifying and exciting. That morning, Haruto woke earlier than usual. He meticulously prepared a lunchbox for Kaito. Not out of obligation but curiosity. He wanted to see if the boy, so bold, so teasing, could be sincere this time. He packed rice, a few slices of grilled fish, and a little sweet treat hidden in the corner, hoping the small gesture would convey something words could not. At school, Kaito spotted him immediately, eyes lighting up. Oh, what's this? He asked, leaning against the locker with that familiar smirk. Haruto flushed but held his ground. It's lunch. For you. Just eat it if you want. Kaito's grin softened. He took the lunchbox carefully, almost reverently, and opened it. His eyes widened slightly at the sight of the thoughtfully prepared food. You actually made this for me? Yes, Haruto said, crossing his arms, though his voice betrayed the nervousness he felt. Kaito's mouth curved into a small smile. Then I'll eat it. And, thank you, Daddy. The word hung in the air, but this time it wasn't teasing. It was quiet, sincere, and it made Haruto's heart skip a beat. From across the courtyard, Rin watched, hands in his pockets, and felt a pang of something he didn't want to admit, jealousy. But more than that, he felt relief. Haruto had chosen, at least in this small moment, to trust them both again. And Rin intended to honor that trust. Kaito carefully ate the meal, savoring each bite, while Haruto watched, a strange mix of pride and nervousness swelling inside him. You like it? Haruto asked, unable to stop the small smile from forming. Kaito nodded. It's perfect. Really, perfect. He paused, looking up at Haruto with unusual seriousness. I wasn't expecting this. And I think I like it. And you? Haruto blinked, heart pounding. He had expected teasing, he had expected arrogance, but he hadn't expected honesty. Rin approached slowly, sitting beside Haruto this time. I helped a little, he said, voice calm. But he deserves it. And you deserve him too. Haruto felt warmth spread through his chest. For the first time since the betrayal, he realized something important. He didn't have to choose one alpha right now. He could let them both care for him in their own ways and figure out what he wanted later. As they sat there together, sharing the quiet comfort of the afternoon, Haruto understood that trust could be rebuilt, laughter could return, and even small gestures, a carefully prepared lunchbox, could speak louder than words. Something inside him shifted. Lunchboxes weren't just for eating, they were for showing care, building bonds, and slowly, irresistibly weaving hearts together. And Haruto had a feeling this was only the beginning. The school day started like any other, but an uneasy tension lingered in the hallways. Whispers followed Haruto wherever he went, eyes darting in his direction as if everyone knew something he didn't. And maybe they did. It wasn't long before the source of the whispers made himself known. A tall, broad-shouldered alpha named Daichi, known for his aggressive personality and sharp mind, approached Haruto with a smirk that was equal parts charm and menace. "So, you're the Omega everyone's talking about?" Daichi said, tilting his head. "Cute lunchbox tricks, I hear. You've already caught the attention of the spoiled son and his friend. Interesting." Haruto swallowed, feeling a familiar nervousness coil in his stomach. He wasn't sure why this alpha was bothering him, but something about Daichi's confident stance made him want to step back. Kaito appeared from the side, walking with his usual careless swagger, but his eyes narrowed at Daichi. "Stay away from him," Kaito said firmly, voice low but dangerous. "Haruto is mine." "Understood." Rin followed, calm but alert, his presence immediately making Daichi shift slightly. "You don't get to scare him," Rin said softly but firmly. "This doesn't concern you." Haruto looked at the two alphas standing beside him, so different, yet both fiercely protective. His chest swelled with a mixture of pride and nervousness. He didn't know why he mattered so much to these two, but he couldn't deny the warmth of being defended. Daichi chuckled. "Two alphas for one Omega? How predictable. But we'll see how strong your little team really is." The rest of the day was tense. Daichi lingered in the shadows, watching, waiting for the right moment to challenge Kaito and Ren, testing their patience and loyalty. Every glance he threw at Haruto made the Omega's heart race, not from fear, but from the strange thrill of knowing he was important enough to protect. During lunch, Haruto carefully opened a new lunchbox, wondering if today would be as peaceful as yesterday. Kaito leaned over, his elbow brushing Haruto's shoulder, eyes filled with unspoken determination. "Don't worry. No one touches you." Rin sat beside him, arms crossed, watching their surroundings like a guardian. "We've got this. You just focus on eating, Haruto." For the first time in days, Haruto felt safe, despite the tension in the air. Lunchboxes weren't just meals anymore, they were symbols of connection, trust, and the little battles they would face together. By the time the last bell rang, Daichi had left, but the challenge had been set. Kaito and Rin glanced at each other, determination clear in their eyes. They weren't just protecting Haruto, they were sending a warning. Any alpha who dared interfere would have to face both of them. Haruto smiled softly, feeling the thrill of having two alphas who cared so deeply. For the first time, he realized that even challenges could bring people closer. And he couldn't help but wonder what would happen next, because the world he had stepped into was no longer simple or quiet. But somehow, with Kaito and Ren by his side, he felt ready for whatever came. Haruto didn't sleep well that night. Daichi's smirk, the way he had glided through the school halls like he owned them, replayed in Haruto's mind. He didn't understand why one alpha's presence could make him feel so nervous, yet so aware of Kaito and Ren beside him. Morning arrived with its usual bustle, and Haruto found Kaito and Ren waiting for him near the school gates. The two alphas exchanged a silent glance, a spark of determination in their eyes. Haruto knew immediately that they had a plan, and for once he wasn't entirely afraid of it. "Haruto," Kaito began, voice steady, "we need to deal with Daichi. He thinks he can intimidate you, but that won't happen. We need a strategy." Ren nodded. "I've been observing him. He's confident but overestimates his control. If we coordinate, he won't know what hit him. And you're going to help us." Haruto blinked. "Me? How?" "You have insight," Ren explained calmly. "You notice things we miss. You understand how people act. You can be the one to predict Daichi's moves." Kaito leaned closer, smirk returning, but gentler this time. "Plus, you make a better distraction than you think. Don't worry, we've got your back. Always." Haruto hesitated, but something in their sincerity made him nod. He packed his lunchbox carefully, not for himself this time, but as a token of strategy and trust. Kaito and Ren exchanged a look that was almost mischievous, then grinned at Haruto. The school day became a game of wits and observation. Daichi tried to assert dominance, but Kaito countered every move with precision and flair, while Ren quietly reinforced their plan. Haruto, observing and sometimes cleverly distracting Daichi with small actions, like dropping a notebook or accidentally brushing against him, helped the alphas predict and outmaneuver him. By lunch, the trio had formed an unspoken rhythm. Kaito teased Haruto playfully, but this time there was no malice, just encouragement. Rin stayed by Haruto's side, calm and steady, ready to act at a moment's notice. And Haruto? He felt the strange thrill of being needed, of being part of a team that valued his mind as much as his presence. When Daichi finally realized he was outmatched, he smirked, but it no longer intimidated anyone. "You win this time," he said, voice tight with suppressed frustration. "But next time?" Kaito's grin returned fully, fierce and protective. "There won't be a next time." Haruto laughed quietly, a warm, relieved sound, feeling the tension of the past week slowly dissolve. For the first time he understood something important. It wasn't just about protection or revenge. It was about trust, teamwork, and knowing that these two alphas, so different yet equally devoted, had his back no matter what. And in that moment, as the lunchbox he had prepared sat safely between them, Haruto realized something else. Being cared for by Kaito and Ren didn't just make him feel safe. It made him feel alive. The afternoon sun painted the school courtyard in gold, but Haruto barely noticed. His mind was a whirlwind of thoughts, emotions, and questions he didn't know how to answer. He had survived Daichi's challenge with Kaito and Ren by his side, but now, everything felt more complicated. Kaito was the first to approach him, leaning casually against the railing, though there was tension in his shoulders. "Haruto," he said softly, "look, I know I messed up before. I shouldn't have teased you like that or manipulated you. I was careless." Haruto's heart thumped painfully. He wanted to be angry, he really did, but seeing Kaito's serious expression, hearing the quiet sincerity in his voice, made it nearly impossible. "Why should I believe you this time?" he whispered. Kaito stepped closer, lowering his voice even more. "Because I mean it. Every word. I care about you, more than I realized. I want to protect you always." Haruto felt a warmth in his chest that made him swallow hard. Before he could respond, Ren approached silently, placing a hand gently on Haruto's shoulder. His calm presence steadied him. "I feel the same," Ren said quietly. "I've been watching over you, worrying about you. I don't want to just protect you from danger, I want to be there when things are good too. You're important, Haruto." Haruto's eyes widened, heart pounding. Two alphas, so different, so devoted, were confessing in their own ways that he mattered to them. His chest felt tight, overwhelmed with feelings he didn't yet have names for. "Both of you," he murmured, voice shaking. I don't know how to feel about all this." Kaito reached out first, taking Haruto's hand gently. "Then just feel," he said, eyes bright. "Let us be here. Don't overthink it." Rin nodded, brushing a strand of hair from Haruto's face. "We'll give you time. You don't have to choose yet. Just trust that we care." For the first time since the betrayal, Haruto felt something lift in his chest, a fragile, fluttering hope. He squeezed Kaito's hand lightly, then allowed Ren's hand to rest over his own. The small, quiet gesture sent a rush of warmth through him, and he realized something powerful. He could care for both of them in his own way without fear or guilt. Kaito smiled, triumphant but tender, while Ren's calm eyes reflected pride and affection. Haruto realized that the world he had feared, the chaos, the teasing, the unexpected challenges, wasn't dangerous when he had these two alphas by his side. And in that moment, as the sun dipped lower and shadows stretched across the courtyard, Haruto understood something he had never expected. Love could be messy, complicated, and even confusing, but it could also be safe, warm, and exhilarating all at once. He didn't need to have all the answers yet. He just needed to trust them and trust himself. Because some bonds, once formed, were impossible to break. The days after Daichi's challenge felt different, lighter, warmer. Haruto noticed it first when he walked into the courtyard and found Kaito and Ren waiting for him, casually leaning against the benches. There was no teasing, no scheming, just two alphas who had fought for him, who had stayed by his side when things were hard. Kaito's grin returned, softer this time, almost shy. "Morning, Daddy," he said, the familiar words slipping out naturally. Haruto felt a small smile tug at his lips. It no longer embarrassed him, it made his chest flutter in a comforting way. Ren sat beside him, calm as ever. "Good morning, Haruto," he said, handing him a lunchbox he had prepared. "I thought you might like something different today." Haruto took it carefully, feeling the love and thought behind the simple meal. It was a small thing, but it carried meaning. A sign that the past, the teasing, the betrayal, the tension, was slowly being replaced with care, respect, and trust. "Thank you," Haruto said quietly. "For both of you." Kaito nudged him gently with his shoulder. "We're not going anywhere." Rin nodded in agreement, his serious eyes softening just for Haruto. "We've learned from our mistakes. And we'll keep learning as long as we're together." Lunch became a ritual for the three of them. Each day they shared quiet moments, small jokes, and thoughtful gestures. Kaito learned to slow down, to notice Haruto's needs, and even started eating properly instead of skipping meals. Rin remained the steady presence, always attentive, quietly making sure Haruto was safe, cared for, and happy. Haruto found himself relaxing in a way he hadn't for a long time. He laughed more easily, his steps felt lighter, and the weight of betrayal and fear lifted bit by bit. He was healing, not just from the events with Kaito and Rin, but from all the moments in life where he had felt unseen or unprotected. And he realized something else. Love wasn't just about romance or excitement. It was about trust, kindness, and support. About knowing that someone would be there for you, even when things were messy. Even when mistakes happened. One afternoon, as the sun set in shades of gold and pink, Kaito and Rin sat close to him on the bench, arms brushing against his shoulders. Kaito's hand found Haruto's, warm and protective, while Rin rested his hand lightly on the other side. Haruto closed his eyes, letting himself feel the safety, the love, and the connection. Two alphas, so different, so devoted, were here for him, and he didn't have to choose between them yet. He could let himself enjoy their care, their attention, and their affection without fear. "Thank you," he whispered, barely audible. "For what?" Kaito asked, smiling softly. "For being here," Haruto said, opening his eyes. He saw the warmth in both their expressions and realized he meant it for both. "For everything." Kaito and Rin exchanged a glance, pride and affection in equal measure. And in that quiet moment, Haruto knew one thing for certain. They had all healed together, and whatever came next, they would face it as a team. The morning sun filtered softly through the classroom windows, casting golden light across the desks. Haruto sat quietly, a small smile on his lips, holding the lunchbox he had prepared the night before. Today felt different, lighter, warmer, like the world itself was cheering for him. Kaito and Rin arrived together, walking with the easy confidence of two alphas who had finally found their place. Kaito's grin was bright and mischievous, but there was tenderness in his eyes as he glanced at Haruto. Rin's calm, steady presence reminded him that some things were unshakable, like the trust and care they had built together. "Morning, Daddy," Kaito said softly, sliding into the seat beside Haruto. Haruto's cheeks flushed, but the blush was no longer panic or embarrassment, it was warmth, happiness, and comfort. "Good morning," he replied quietly, a tiny smile tugging at his lips. Rin took the seat on the other side, offering a nod and a gentle smile. "Morning, Haruto," he said. "Ready for today?" Haruto opened his lunchbox, which held the small meal he had prepared with care. Kaito's eyes lit up at the sight of it. "You made this for me?" he asked, genuinely touched. "I did," Haruto said, smiling. "For both of you, actually." Kaito and Rin exchanged a glance, pride and affection in their eyes. Together they began to eat, sharing small bites, laughter, and quiet conversation. There were no games, no manipulation, just connection. Just trust. Just love. For the first time, Haruto realized that life didn't have to be complicated. Two alphas, so different, so devoted, could care for him, protect him, and make him feel valued every single day. And he didn't have to choose, he could simply enjoy being with both of them, letting the warmth of their affection fill his heart. When lunch was finished, Kaito leaned over and whispered, "You know, you really are amazing, Daddy. Not just for the food, for everything." Rin smiled softly. "He's right," he said. "You've taught us patience, care, and trust. And we'll keep learning with you." Haruto felt tears prick at the corners of his eyes, but they were happy tears. The past, the teasing, betrayal, and challenges, had only made this moment sweeter. He reached for both of their hands, feeling their warmth and strength. "Thank you," he whispered, voice steady. "For staying, for caring, for being here." Kaito squeezed his hand gently, while Rin rested his other hand over theirs. "Always," Kaito said. "No matter what." Haruto leaned back, closing his eyes, and let himself soak in the moment. Lunchboxes had started it all, but this connection, this love, this trust, was forever. And as the school bell rang and life moved around them, Haruto knew one thing for certain. No matter what challenges came next, he and his two alphas would face them together, hearts aligned and always full of care, laughter, and love. Because sometimes, a simple lunchbox could start a story, but love, trust, and devotion would make it last forever.